Girlfriend cheated on me and my master plan of revenge began. My girlfriend, 22 female, now ex, admitted to me, 24 male, that she had been talking to someone else on Instagram and had been drawn to him, but she felt bad and regretted it. I messed up. Why? You're probably wondering why nothing occurred. Well, I have an uncanny capacity to detect falsehoods, and this was the greatest nonsense I'd ever heard. She had been chilly from the beginning of the relationship, so feeling bad for just conversing didn't seem like her. Because I was too close to her, I tried to let it go and concentrate on work, but something was odd and I could still feel it. The paranoia was devouring me from inside. We became estranged over the following several weeks, and she had been remarkably sociable, going out with various friends, or so she said, despite the fact that she had few. This provided me enough information to deduce that she had only given me half the truth and was still up to no good. I still perplexed as to why someone would half confess something in order to continue doing it. The relationship was very much dead in every way, and I had advised splitting it up since I saw no value in continuing, but she kept on trying and trying because I had found her a nice job and she was making great progress owing to my friends. Something snapped inside of me when I understood this was her motive for going on. I had stood by her side through unimaginably familiar stuff, professional disappointments, and personal betrayals from her pals. I gave her all I had all the time. I lived for the sake of making her happy. But in truth, she was living on my dime and keeping me in the dark. As the that I was, I began scheming my icy cold vengeance in silence. I called a random female J, who gave me her phone number months before these occurrences, but I never got to call since I was loyal. I explained why I hadn't phoned and she agreed. We barely flirted on our first date, but she shocked me with a kiss at the conclusion. It made me feel uncomfortable and guilty. I waited for my girlfriend to go in the shower the following day and snooped through her communications. I found out what I had assumed for weeks. She had kept the show running and at extraordinary heights. Going out numerous times per week, exchanging photographs, often, and even at times when I was with her. Copying and copying related text she sent me when we first met. Even posing for him in the clothing that my folks had given her for Christmas. My guilt was thrown out the window. I managed to keep myself from panicking out and exposing her. This gave me all the bravery and blind wrath I needed, so I contacted Jay again that night and carried it out in the most spectacularly rage-fueled manner I could think. I kept this up for the following 2 months or so, having sex with Jay as often as I could, and as much as I could while still acting like a regular boyfriend. Some days, I spent the whole evening Jay in order to see my girlfriend at night and fuck her even more while focusing on the hatred in my thoughts. After that, I generally left out little clues of skepticism in her direction in order to make her feel nervous and guilty. In the end, I ended things with my girlfriend after discovering her falsehoods, but I kept my secrets to myself so that I could maintain my moral superiority over hers. Even when I gave her the evidence, she denied everything. She grieved for days over their reconciliation. This section made me feel as though it was all for nothing and never truly provided me closure. Jay became at ease around me, but I was already immersed in the story of this scheme. I couldn't bear the thought of dating anybody else at this point, so I had to end things with her as well. In a far less dramatic manner, since she was somewhat aware of what was going on with me, and was mostly interested in the sex. After a few months, the lady my ex despised, because to her popularity among mutual male acquaintances, came to come work with me. To my surprise, we up and grew close but not serious. When my ex found out and contacted me to confirm it, she was still upset over the breakup. Instead of responding, I traveled to her home to inform her in person and see her disintegrate. Edit. All of this nonsense did nothing except screw with my brain. Her infidelity caused me fear about other people betraying me. But what I did demonstrated that I, too, was a jerk like no other. Since realizing this, my attitude about women and relationships has changed dramatically. I would never do anything like this again, but it had to happen for me to learn and realize the repercussions of letting oneself go with wrath and hatred. It merely causes discomfort and does not promote recovery. Edit 2. For those who feel sorry for Jay, I only picked her as my accomplice since she was in a relationship at the time she gave me her phone number and so was attempting to cheat. In essence, I believed I was doing justice in more than one name. Nonetheless, I feel awful for her. She didn't deserve to be caught in my garbage and abused in this manner. She was the only one with the foresight to remain a ghost indefinitely. I embrace your contempt with open arms. Story 2. What to do about an ex-cheating wife. Throw away, not the greatest at grammar. So here we go. I've been with my girlfriend for around 14-15 years, and I'm absolutely ignorant about how to be in a relationship. So essentially, I've been with this lady since my 8th grade year, as I prepare to enter high school. We both had messed up childhoods, but hers was much worse since her family exploited her mostly as a sex object to acquire what they needed. We ended up having 2 children together, both of whom are daughters. She worked third shift at a manufacturing around 2 years ago, and I worked first shift roofing an hour away. To cut a long tale short, she was cheating on me with many people, and I knew it, but I wasn't in a position to catch her. I'd work from 6 a.m. until at least 6 p.m., perhaps later. She began behaving strangely, but I trusted her. It was obvious after a time, but I couldn't prove anything. So one day when she arrived home early, I hopped into her vehicle and went off to an abandoned road, ripped it apart, and discovered all the proof I needed. Women leave so many traces behind them, like receipts and stuff. Anyway, she eventually left, and it was a tremendous mess. After confronting her, she fled and stole my daughters, which I blew up and ruined, before joining the military. So, when I was ready to sail off to basic training, she sobbed and pleaded for my return. I knew she was cheating, but I didn't know with whom. So, after she went, a very attractive lady approached me and begged for my phone number, and it was the first time I ever caved in. I chatted to this girl for about a month because I was so miserable and lonely. Anyway, shortly before I left, my ex begged and pleaded with me to try again, and I accepted. So months passed and we weren't normal, but I was in another country and she was at home. She waited until I was ready to return before telling me his name and her pill addiction. I was really taken aback. I remember going home and sobbing because she was the love of my life, and I had turned down a number of girls to be loyal, but she wasn't. To cut a long tale short, I freaked out after basic training. I've destroyed everything that matters to me and can't bear seeing her in the eyes. She's a better lady now, and she continually tells me that if I weren't here, she'd rather be dead, and she finally told me about her childhood, parents, and everything. It's all way too much for me to write. Suo. To summarize, she cheated on me with 2 men for over a year, and I'm so screwed up today. I'm not sure what to do or how to behave. To be honest, I was enraged and wanted to exact my vengeance on her. So I went to that fat POS home. I was going to murder the